And welcome back to the Melly Show.
Yeah, that's it.
That's simple.
We just did it. You got it. All right.
Sound like
Cool.
Terry grows fresh air. Let's do it. Yeah.
Get real close and stare into the camera.
All right, that's got to go in there.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So we have a very interesting and special guest today. I don't even know your last name. I'm terrible. Rodney, what's your last name?
It's Denee. It's supposed to be said Denee, but Denee's
Denee.
fine.
Rodney Denee.
So fancy.
It's the old Denee.
Denee.
I like that.
Well, thank you for joining us today. You are my dad's half brother on the mom's side, right?
So weird to visualize. But it's true.
You guys come from the same person. Half
Yes.
the same parents.
Yes, we have the same mother. Yes.
Okay. So basically the reason we're doing this podcast is because you reached out to my dad, and tell our listeners what exactly you said, because I heard something different. Slightly.
So when you're adopted,
Mm-hmm.
Most adoptions are closed. Closed meaning that you really don't get much information about your parents, but they do give you something called non-identifying information, which
Right.
is simple things like maybe what your mother looked like or your father, maybe how old they were, things that they maybe liked about each other, something maybe that happened in the past with family, if you have any ailments, diseases, things like that.
Mhm.
So you have information. So I've never really wondered, but I kind of did about who and what and where.
Right.
So I went to Oakland County, and you go down and you fill out a form, and you just say, hey, I'd like to see this information. So you go down there, and they give you this paperwork in a file. And when you're adopted, you're considered an estate.
Mm-hmm.
Child's in a state. I know it's weird.
Right.
So you're in a state, and what happens is that the adoption process goes through a judge. You're considered a state. Like one person is taking over the estate or the child from the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And now I found this out that when I was born, which is very rare that your mother or my birth mother did this. She named me, and guess what she named me? Shane Matthew. So she named me that, and the last name was Center.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing. So when you get this, they're supposed to black out.
Center.
And it said on my file, Shane Matthew Center. They did not black out the last name.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And I thought, well, that's interesting. But I didn't know much then. So
Yeah.
it was a process of research. And they do keep a lot of stuff sealed. Like you just can't get what you want. But there was something very distinctive. Your mother said, when I was 16, my dad died of a heart attack at 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty distinct.
Yeah.
So I researched who died at 1966, 40 years old. Oh, here's this person. It was a process of this taking and
So you piece it together.
like I always thought, like when I was a kid, like I'm gonna be a great detective or a cop. But it was like piecing stuff together. And so I discovered that her uncles. That was the first thing. And I contacted them, and they had no idea I existed. They hadn't talked to your mom in a while. Oh, it'd been a while. They lost track of your mom, but they told me what her name was. I was like, oh, Linda, but not the last name that you have,
Right,
which
right.
is like kind of like that. And it's funny how they go, yeah, she was dating some Muslim guy, I think, or Arab. I was like, okay. So, they said it like that, but, they didn't know much.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And so I was like, okay, so I met them. They were all right. My kids went with me. It was really interesting. They were very nice to me. Very nice to me.
They are really nice. Actually, I've met them a few times.
Oh,
tremendous, actually.
They were great. And especially being a stranger, because I'm not family. I mean, I may be by blood, but I'm not. I have my own. Okay. So when that was done, they release records after 50 years. They make them public.
Oh.
So my idea was, if your mom was married, they release marriage records at 50 years, and maybe I could find something with her married name.
Right, right.
And voila, I did. But ironically, the first thing that came up was you. she had a child, and you came up first. Your name,
Same name,
last name.
Crazy,
yep,
right?
and then your father, and then her. And I thought, oh my God, this is crazy. This has got to be her. It's got to be her. So I thought about it for a while. And I'm like, do I bother this guy? And I don't know. Like, what should I do? And so I was in a quandary for a while. I didn't know.
How long did it take you to
Oh, it was a few months. I had thought about like what I want to do. Like, should I do this? Like, because I don't want to bother anybody.
Right.
And a couple of my buddies were like, come on, and just, what's it going to hurt? Like, just take a chance. You never know. So as you all probably know, and being very much younger, there's no landlines anymore. In the old days, we could call someone with a rotary phone, like, yo, Shane there, you can come to the phone. But that doesn't exist. So I did some more digging and research. I want to be a detective. And I found that there was a Shane Merrim who lived in, you live in?
Fowlerville.
Yes. And I thought, that has to be him.
It's a unique name. Other than you having it
originally. Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, even on Facebook, there's no Shane Merrims other than me. I mean, it's
true. And so I thought, I'm just going to drive there. And one of my buddies like, dude, I don't know if you should do that. I'm like, well, maybe I should drive. They go, well, yeah, but maybe they have weapons. I mean, who knows? Like, you shouldn't probably
we
do
have
that.
weapons.
Yeah.
We have a lot of weapons.
So I was like, okay. So I drive there and come up, and you got a lot of acreage, nice home, big barn. And I go knock on the door, and your son answers like no big deal. Hi, is your dad home? Yeah, I think he's in the barn. I'm like, okay, well, thank you, young man. And I just like, this is really easy. And so I walk around, I'm going to knock on the barn. And there was really no answer. And as I come back, your wife comes out with your son. I think you might have went out too, or you were inside.
I actually was not here at this point.
Okay.
I showed up later.
She said, "You're Shane's brother," and she knew. I was, what?
How did she know that?
She just had this feeling because I said, "I'm looking for," and she just knew.
Well, nobody comes to the door, mind you, asking for my dad. So the reason why Peter was like, just go to the barn is because we obviously run a lot of businesses, and sometimes people will come to the house and like pick up a product because they're local. So it's not abnormal for like 10 people just to come and pick up stuff that was made. But mom, she knew about you.
Well, and you guys have been together from what you've told me a long time.
Right?
And so I'm sure you told her a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you'll tell about this in a minute. But she just I saw her face turn, and it just clicked. Like I saw her face completely change, and I'm like, and she said, "Do you want to come in for coffee or something?" I said, "Really? Come on in." So she go inside, and I think that's when you got there a little and they called you on the phone.
Well, you were at a tournament.
Me and Megan were on our way back from a tournament. I don't know which one.
And then you got slammed later. Like, what did they say? Like, my half brother, better looking, something like that. What the heck? What they said about him? What? And he's like, "Oh no, my kid's picking me out." I'm like, "Oh God, what they say?"
Wait, what to clarify is, you're there all trying to be sensitive and careful and don't know what to expect.
Exactly.
And my kids are making fun of me, and we're joking around because
we met the better brother. That's what we said.
Yeah, wow. And that was,
and you were like, I can't believe you would say, but we have a lot of fun. We have very thick skin, and that's kind of how we teach them to just not be sensitive. We have a lot of fun,
We joke that my dad can dish it, but he can't take it.
Yeah, and they say I'm the sensitive one.
Well, my sons say that about me too. They'll say, Dad, you say some crap to us, and if we give it back to you, you get really pissed. I'm like, no, not always.
They tell me the same thing.
Just sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes. But so, and then after, real quickly, the story. So I got to talk to you on the phone, not long after that, and I said, "Hey, would it be okay?" And I had no idea your relationship with your mom. I didn't know anything about anything, but I said, "Would it be okay if I could call her?" And I remember that you contacted her first, and then you said, "Hey, you can call her. She's really happy that you're going to," and then things went from there. But it's been surreal, and I've got to know Linda a little bit, and she says and I get it. I'm her child, and she'll tell me that she loves me. I can't say that back,
right?
Because I don't know her, but she does speak to me, and she actually sounds interested. She asks about my kids. I've sent her pictures, and she's been very cordial, and which is great. And maybe in time we'll talk more about our mothers in general, and because You know, when you're adopted, I had a lot of great experiences being adopted by my family. I cannot.
Yeah.
I've heard stories that people did not, and I didn't really have that. I mean, my outside family were amazing. My dad's dad, my grandpa wrote a poem for me. They published. Like,
That's awesome.
I had a really great, but my parents were not the best parents and role models. And I'm long story. Maybe we'll talk about it. But I'm glad that I got to speak to her.
Oh, for sure.
And I was glad that your dad has been a super nice guy. Like, I can't even like believe like what a good dude you are. Like, he made it so easy for me. I don't want to bother him or you guys or be a pain in the ass or get anyone's way. So the way you did things was really awesome, and it was very gracious. Oh. And I really appreciate that, because I felt very awkward and worried. And I can be very cocky and assured of myself, but I don't want to. When it comes to family things,
come from Linda.
You know, when it comes to family, that's a big deal. And then your dad came to baby shower for my little.
That was
man.
Fun,
and it just went really well. But I just want to say like how great everyone's been, and I did not expect that.
Well, yeah.
So I'll let you.
Yeah. Well, so when did you start looking for your adopted family, or is that the right term for it?
Yeah, I mean, okay. Birth parents.
Birth parents.
I wasn't really heavy into it till I got into my later 40s, probably late 40s, and I have also spoken to my birth father.
Really?
Because, you know, Shane's mom, your grandma, told me his name, and it was really funny. So he had a landline. And I called him and left messages, and I think he thought I was a salesman because he did not call me back.
Did you say he was Italian or something?
He's 100% Sicilian.
Sicilian, there you go.
So that's where you get your tan skin from, because she's really white, isn't she?
I have never met
Linda
your grandmother in person.
Yeah, my mom is white as it gets. Blonde hair, blue eyes, like.
I have very, very slight pictures from childhood. Mind you, like.
Very pretty, by the way.
Probably.
I saw your mom when she was young. She's very, very pretty.
Yeah.
I saw her when she was young.
Just make jokes that she was like Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah. I think it's been almost like at least 15 years since I've seen her last.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, that's a joke, because my dad was burly and dark, and Harry was like the Beauty and the Beast. That was the big joke.
Wow.
Like, my dad was like a gorilla next to this blonde.
Yeah.
You know.
And he, so I called. He wouldn't call me back. So finally I said, "Hey, Dale, it's kind of really important. I have to talk to you about something." And you know, I'm not. I said I'm not a salesman. I'm not. I said, "Could you?"
I'd prefer not to tell you over the phone.
Exactly, something like that in the answering machine. And then he called me back, and he did not know I existed.
See, that was going to be my next question. Did he even know you were a person?
I am the only biological child he ever had.
Wow. So do you still talk to him?
Yes, he actually sends me messages. I met him in person because he didn't live that far. He took him a while. He's a Vietnam vet. He really handsome guy. He is handsome, full head of hair, doesn't look his age. And he really, I had to tell him, I don't want anything, I don't need anything from you, my life is set. And he didn't really know how to handle it. And I think that I personally think that he felt a little bad and upset. And he even told me, he started apologizing. I'm like, Dale, you have nothing to apologize for. I think he said, well, you know, your mom and I, like, you know, we tried to be here. I said, Dale, you have nothing to apologize for. I just want to tell you I'm here. This is me.
You're curious.
If you want to have a relationship and talk, it'd be great. And that was it. And in time, he kind of warmed up, and he was seeing a therapist. So I PTSD'd, a lot of stuff in Vietnam. But he turned out to be very gracious. We met in person. He's a longtime GM guy. And he apologized to Gail when I met in person. I said, you don't have to do that. And we got pictures together. And now he sends me like, hey, message, happy Father's Day. How are your kids? He was fine. Like he's a decent guy. He's got a summer home in Florida, stays here. But it took him a while. And it really, to hear I was only his biological kid, that was kind of threw me. And I said, hey, you know, anytime you want to talk, meet, have a relationship, it's great. But I had to push it. And the last thing I'll say is I had to say, hey, listen, man, if you want to meet up, we can. But I'm not going to keep sending messages. I said, we're either going to talk or I'm good. Because I don't need...
So he wouldn't even respond at first because he was
kind
of freaked out.
He would keep saying we're going to meet up and he wouldn't do it. And maybe he had... And I get it. But after a while, and I asked Mina about this, and she was like, you know, Rodney, just kind of say it. Just put it out there. Like, this, we're not going to go back and forth anymore.
Right.
So I did. And he finally just said, okay, let's meet here. And everything was fine.
How have you not met my mom yet? Like she is probably dying to see you.
Iron City, Michigan's quite a drive.
She's in Iron City now?
Or something. It's 3.5 hours.
Wow.
And you know what? I know I got to go and I got to drive up there and it's my fault and I haven't done it.
Well, I'm just curious if something.
Yeah, and I should. I don't know about. Well, I'll let you talk now. Like you could tell me more. You could say more about your mom and stuff that I don't know. But I don't know about the dynamics with her and the guy she's with. I don't know about anything. I just talked to her on the phone. Have a good day.
Do you know anything about your mom right now? You probably didn't even know she was in Iron. That's, by the way, that's 7.5 hours away from where we are right now.
Yeah,
so it's up in the UP then.
It's basically Wisconsin. It's on the border.
Okay, yeah. So she moved. She was in, on the west side. What was that called? I can't remember. But she was.
Was it around like St. Clair?
Right. No, she still might. I might have got that wrong. She still might be there. I think it's something like that name. But it's. I looked at the maps. It's almost 4 hours.
Yeah, that's pretty far.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you've talked to her?
Oh, I didn't talk to her for 6-7 years before you came along.
Wow.
So maybe 5-6 years.
But you had her phone number? Or you just knew somebody had her number? He
goes, do you mind if I'm like, I'll call her. I go, she'll be happy to see you. I mean, she always talked about you. Here's the irony.
You got to tell me this.
Here's the irony, right?
This gets me.
So when, I met Lisa when I was 14. She's my first girlfriend ever. We didn't date for a little bit of time, but then we got married. So we've known each other forever. And I casually told her one time, I said, yeah, my mom had another kid. She told me. Somehow it came up. Like, I don't even keep these things in my head. So I'm like, yeah, she told me she had a kid and she named it the same. And we're like, man, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. She's like, how does that not, like, she was shocked that it wasn't a bigger deal, that I barely remembered that, right? And I was like, honey, I was busy just kind of surviving myself, like being, I had a lot going on. So it was not really something that I was focused on. So she said it, I heard it, she said it all the time. It just never really processed to the level of which it never settled in, like, well, I've got some brothers somewhere. It never occurred to me, right? I don't know why. I can't tell you. I'm a kind of an in the moment kind of person.
Well, being young,
right? So, anyways, so Lisa's like, later on, she would ask me. She's like, "Don't you have a desire to find out?" I'm like, "No, and nothing. I'm super happy you found me."
No,
but let me tell you,
I get
super happy you found me. Like, now that it happened, I think it's great. But I just never had any internal drive to do it. I just never did. I don't know why. It wasn't that I disliked it or was upset or could care less, to be honest. She told this story, and Mom would repeat the same things over and over again. And there's this, to explain my mom, there's a baseline, gorgeous, sweet, loving woman. But over time, she claims she didn't do any drinking or drugs till she was like 19 because it was a Baptist household, but she went wild. So at 19, she got into drugs, she got drinking, she hooked up with your dad, right? And she liked him. Apparently she liked him. He, I don't know what his story was.
I've seen pictures. He was a handsome guy. He looked a lot like your dad, I think, actually. Dark hair.
Well, that was her type.
Yeah.
So, but again, as I got to be in, like, I was still in elementary school. By then, my relationship, my parents' relationship was melting down. Both were alcoholics. Mom was a drug addict. At that age, I was seeing her snort all sorts of stuff into her nose if I caught her. So she was not herself. So she, I believe, created damage in her head with the drugs. So when she was on drugs and alcohol, honestly, she's phenomenal. Like I told you, she's so happy to see you. She's very kind. But the 90% of my time with her, she was somehow altered.
Yeah.
So I basically, it was like being sunburned. So I did my best to not associate with her, right? So my dad, I was an alcoholic who was functional, but he was protective, he was loyal, he worked hard, he loved me to death. Even with her being a nightmare, he'd always tell me, she's still your mom. He was a very, very good parent. And again, when they were done, not one time did my dad date somebody else, go after somebody else. Like he was not as manly as he was. As manly as he was, he wasn't this player or this.
I get it.
It was very interesting.
And they weren't together the whole time that obviously he was alive.
She would come in and out.
Right, because they were separated. So, and in that time, he still would never.
But they always lived
go
together.
out.
Really, she would just disappear and be an idiot for a while and come back because she didn't know where to stay. He always let her back. So really, they were kind of living together but divorced. So that was my experience.
That dysfunctional relationship,
right?
So my dad, he worked a lot. a lot of hours. I didn't really even know my father until I was probably almost 7 because he worked so much. And my mother and dad would play practical jokes on each other. So my mother would put eggs in his lunch that weren't hard boiled. She would just do stuff like this. They'd go back and forth. And one day, my dad, I was in first grade. He's walking out to his truck. He slipped. He broke his leg.
Oh.
He's like, Sheila, call the ambulance. I broke my leg. Mom's like, oh, Rick, get up. He's like, no, Sheila, I broke my leg. Like, he's like, my dad handled the pain pretty well. It's snowing out. My mom shuts the garage door. He's like, God damn it, Sheila, I broke my fucking leg.
And he's out in the driveway in the snow.
Oh, Sheila. Like, and so when he was home, he had this big cast on. And I remember, and I still remember, he took me to see Star Wars at the Clarkston Cinema. And that was one of the first things I remember doing with him.
I remember doing that with my father.
Because
Star
he
Wars.
broke his leg.
Yeah, it was, but I was, I could probably, and this isn't the best. It's not good. I can count on one hand how many times my dad played with me and interacted with me. Like my father was a great athlete, from what I hear. He didn't throw a football to me one time as a kid.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I had a kid on my street named Corey Lawson. I had a lot of older kids on my street, and he just a good kid. We bonded. He was older than me. He'd come over with a beatbox and play music, and he would throw me hundreds of passes. Like the reason I became a great football player was because of him. And it's weird because like my dad, and then years later, when my dad was sobered up, I said, Dad, I don't know why I asked him. I said, what did you think I was gonna do, like college, whatever? He goes, I thought you'd play college football. I just started laughing. I'm like, you really thought that? He's like, oh yeah, you were so good and you did this. I said, it was weird because he never interacted with me in sports. And then he thought I was going to, it was that kind of
So
weird.
was it because he was working all the time, or like, why do you think he didn't spend time with you?
That and my dad.
When they drink, they don't see the time. The time doesn't.
Yeah, and your
So
brain
was he
is
home
not,
drinking, or did he go out to
oh
drink?
man, my dad, if he was drinking at home, you didn't see it. Like my dad was one of the people that he would put stuff.
My dad too.
Yeah,
There
was a bar,
day, but he'd have it in a container or hidden bottles everywhere.
We had a bar in the house.
Real alcoholics
but
do
nothing.
that. No.
We didn't. Like my dad would be drinking all kinds, but I remember one time I was sipping off beers at a thing, and he goes, "Oh, you think drinking's all right?" He sat me down at a table and opened a beer and put it in front of me. He goes, "Drink the whole thing." I remember I barely got half, and I was sick. And he's like, "Don't ever touch that stuff." But
So he knew it was bad.
yeah, but I mean, he never really. He wasn't mean to us.
Yeah.
He never hit us. He never spanked us. And he would have a look. My dad was a very big guy, intimidating. He had this motorcycles, and he just looked, and we'd just be like,
yeah, my dad had that look too.
And he never spanked us, never hit us. But at the same time, he didn't tell us things. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, so as a dad, do you have something like that, like a quit messing with me like face or something?
Yeah, I guess a little bit but I parented much different than my parents. I did not want to parent like my parents, so I tried to do a lot of things very differently. I didn't believe in spanking, even though a few times it happened with my older son, and I'm embarrassed about it because it was me being angry. He's being a kid. I never spanked my daughter, never yelled at her. My little guy never have. Callan, my middle son, maybe once. But my older son was, he was the kid that I could take everything out of his room but his pillow and his blanket, and he would still keep fighting with me. And there was one time I took away his Pokemon cards. He literally sat at a table with paper and pens for 4 hours and made his own cards because he was going to have cards. And I saved them all. It was incredible what he drew. He would not give in an inch. But some kids are like that. But I, at the time, didn't know how to handle that. Then later I did. And he's a brilliant kid. He's great. We have a very good, he hugs me. I love you, Dad. We have a good relationship. But I'm embarrassed that I even spanked him.
Okay, contrast. Now he just described himself. First of all, do I have a look?
Yes.
And what about all the other things?
So I asked that, and I kind of wish one of your kids were here because I feel like, what do you think your answer is?
I don't know. You guys.
What do you think your answer is? Because I
answers.
feel, because like you before when we were talking, like hearing you guys talk, and I'm like, that's not true. And then you're like, oh, my kids give me a hard time for that too. It's like it's always different from
Perception
from the
is
kid.
I could admit I did stuff. And
Right,
I'm not proud of it, but I did.
I can tell you, I probably have a look. I wasn't against spanking, but I don't
Look
think
at
you were.
the wrinkles on his forehead. You think that happens naturally?
Hey, if you've earned those lines, they look nice. They look good on you.
I'm not against spanking, but I don't think that we had to do it a lot because I think if you're consistent, it doesn't require a lot. But I wasn't against it. And I think every teenage boy gets his ass whooped at least once by his father. And I think that before they fear God, I think they have to fear somebody. And that's my philosophy.
And I didn't have my dad I didn't have that. My dad was he was a Gold Gloves boxer, and he did not want us to box.
Mm-hmm.
Rather play other sports, but my dad I think he grew up, he was never spanked by his parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think he believed in it. And so he would let my mom have a free for all, which was awful.
Yeah.
At times my mother,
and moms do it when they've lost their mind too. So they're really upset.
there's things that happen with us that I don't want to even discuss. But my dad he'd come home from work. He worked late. I still remember as I was a little kid in bed, I had a wind up duck.
Mm-hmm.
He'd wind up my wind up duck. He'd put it by my ear and he rubbed my forehead for a while until I fell asleep. And that's all I knew him for a long time.
Wow.
That was all I really knew of him until he broke his leg.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, you do have a look, and yes, you do yell, and actually, it's less of a look because I don't know if you know this about him. He has dystonia. He literally cannot see.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of flexibility in my neck, so I got to move my whole body.
So is that injury or
it's a neurological thing. My muscles are really tense. All my muscle tone comes from my brain.
But you know the people that are in wheelchairs were like, I can't move.
Yeah,
that'll be him in like 20 years.
No,
if he doesn't quit moving, if he quits moving,
I have
it'll
a
be
pump installed
5.
under the skin of my back that puts chemicals into my spinal fluid so that I'm not tight.
I didn't hear that.
No, it's actually pretty fucked
up. And I still
up.
have a tremendous amount of muscle tone, even with it trying to reduce it.
I just had cortisone shots in my back for the second time in a month. I used to be a meathead. I could squat almost. I used to lift weights with Jason Hansen. We used to do legs here, the kicker for the Lions. So I used to really train. Dumb, below parallel, heavyweight. You don't think you're going to be 50 when you're 20. And and I'm now paying for it. But the shots are great. I feel really good. Yeah, man, it's just things that happen to you. But I never knew. I didn't know that. But
I got 2 hips replacements, so both hips are replaced. I have no ACL currently, but my muscle tone is so good that I can actually stand on one knee and not buckle it.
Wow.
But eventually that might go away. But yeah, I'm a mess.
Yeah.
Wow.
But sometimes he gets meaner because he gets in a lot of pain, and when you see him twitch and stuff,
chronic pain,
all day,
awful,
all the time. But
eat you down.
I can see you. So lately we've been having some trouble with one of his family members, and there's a camera so we can record stuff, and I was watching you on the camera yesterday, and you're like,
that twitch comes in.
He twitches a lot more when he's stressed because it's so painful and But yeah,
I'm helping an aunt who's being kind of victimized.
I remember you. Yeah.
Long story.
But yeah, so we could make 4 podcasts on that, and it's only been a couple of weeks that we've really been in it. Anyways, sidetracking. So his thing, growing up, my childhood, Dad and Mom worked from home. I saw my parents all the time. They were super active with us. They did everything with us. We were not homeschooled, but it definitely felt like that. We were the house where I have a lot of cousins. I'm one of 18 immediate cousins, and we have even more extended ones. And so they would just kind of be dropped off at our house for the summer, or I went to Catholic school with 4 of the families. So my mom had a giant van that she literally had to have because everyone else worked full-time jobs, both husband and wife. So she would pick up the kids a lot of times, and you guys were around all the time. And all of the cousins were terrified of you. Not because you were absurd, but you were loud. You're a very loud person. And he would spend a lot of time on the phone because it's how he made a living. Just because he was home and around all the time didn't mean he wasn't working.
But it's funny what you said. And I'm not trying to be, this is not a general thing I'm trying to say, but Chaldean or Italian.
Yeah,
they're
both
loud.
very loud.
And that's where we both, our fathers are. And that's kind of comes from that, I think. And it's funny because people that don't understand that will say, oh, wow, you're so loud. That's kind of scary. It's that's our normal tone.
Yeah, we're not being.
This is status quo. So yeah, it can be really shocking when kids are not raised that way and then they come around my dad. It's actually, you're totally fine. There's nothing wrong. But his thing was always, he'd be on a phone call. And something I always complain about, and I even still complain about, is if we're in a car together and somebody calls you, you pick up the phone. And it pisses me off because it is. No, it is. But it's just my whole childhood, it was in the car and then it was he couldn't look at us because he couldn't turn his neck.
If I snap my finger, they go silent. There could be 10 in the car. So, if I went like that, they'd all go quiet. Which they should.
And I mean, even still now, if I ever hear it, it's so deeply ingrained in me that I'm like, what do you need? He'll do that if he needs my attention and stuff like that.
You had very good parents, and you're very fortunate.
No, definitely. I'm not. That's not a complaint. Trust me.
100%. I mean, and it's funny because kids look back and I think your parents don't know anything for a while, and then you learn that wow, your parents knew some stuff.
Right.
And the fact that they were always home and around. When I was a kid, I would have probably hated it because I had too much freedom because my dad always worked and we wandered off and we never came back sometimes for a long time. But I was probably wish they were there more. And it's great that you had that. And I remember that when you're involved, like I made it my mission. I've never missed a basketball game of my middle son. I told him I won't miss. I'm going to go see his first 2 college home games.
Oh, that's fun.
Because I told him I would go and I could watch him on TV after that. But what I'm saying is that I made it my mission to be there. And that's really great that your dad and mom, your mom seems like just a tremendous lady.
She's amazing.
She is.
Believe it or not, though, she's the scarier of the two.
But you know what? Okay,
Lisa
and
is the
but she's
backbone
also
of the
the
family.
quieter and also the nicest.
But her aura was fantastic.
Oh, for sure,
And I could
100%.
tell that she was very real. And your dad's lucky to have her. And you guys are lucky to have her.
Definitely.
See, I consider myself a tool in Lisa's toolbox. She's actually the architect of the family. I'm just something that she can lean on because she really had to do a lot with the family. I really believe that. I really believe men kind of burn a third of our lives really heavy taking care of things, but the women take care of the whole life, right? And we're utensils. We kind of help produce things and help things and do things. But Lisa really, from the beginning of having kids, even right now, she really makes sure the whole thing works.
You know what's amazing that I also admire you for? Not knocking my parents. My father died almost 2 years ago. He died suddenly. We found him in his favorite chair.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he wasn't sick.
Yeah.
But my parents were not good role models for relationships. You have done so well with your marriage, with your children, where I did not. And so
Well, describe your parents' relationship. What was it like? What was modeled
My
to
parents divorced when I was 12. They were married 20 years almost by then. So
wow.
My mom couldn't have kids. She had a ovary on her cyst on one of her ovaries.
Yeah.
And they tried for a long time, and so they adopted myself, and I have a brother. I'm almost 5 years older than them.
Okay.
And so, I think my mother did the change the diapers, feed all the nerd to take care of. She did a good job. I remember I was born with no arches on my feet, and I remember when I was a kid, my feet would be like this, and I remember she would roll a bottle, take care of. She did so much nurturing when I was young, and then when they got divorced, it flipped, and then my dad was working all the time. My mother was working. My mother left us home alone at night. She worked midnights, left my brother and I home
Well, how
alone.
old were you when you were
I was 12, and 12 hours a day, every day at home, alone in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
There was some stuff that just wasn't cool. And so, but at the same time, could she have done differently? I think so, whatever. That's another story. But
right.
I only remember that there was not the best dynamic. My father was quiet. My mother was just don't talk, like I don't want to hear you. There's time. My mother had her moments where she was great, okay, but there was a lot of times that she wasn't because she was stressed.
So she started out really great, got divorced.
When I was
and
little,
then it went
I think she was, yeah. And maybe Shane will also would know this. I made it a mission not to project. My mother did a lot of projecting. I remember the first time I told my kids, "No one made you mad. You made you mad." They were like, "What?" I'm like, "No one makes you angry. You do. No one makes you sad. You do.
Yeah.
You are in charge and you have to take ownership." And I tried so hard to remember that when my mother would she would leave and she'd come home in the morning and nothing was right. When she left, nothing was right. When she got home, nothing was right. So everything I did was wrong. And that's tough when you're a kid because it's not easy on you because it doesn't give you a lot of confidence.
It's inconsistent too.
Yeah, and so I tried to be cocky and I tried to be the strongest, the handsomest, the toughest. Like I was going to be, because I didn't have really that, and I didn't have any. But
like, how are you going to make her happy? So you're trying
exactly,
ways to make,
and it was chaos. So then you think, okay, and sounds like you should know this. Like I should know this. You get married, woman in the house. She's going to be like, Mom, like that place of safety was not that safe,
right?
And so that was something that you had, and that they did so well. And that's why I'm blown away from what your father says about his parents, and you have such a great marriage relationship with your mom. That doesn't happen. Mm-mm. So this is how I know this, and I did not know this before. My mother wanted to go to therapy with me. I said, you don't want to do that. She said, no, I want you to go to therapy. He said, okay, you don't want to do this. So we went to therapy. And one of the things that happened in it was she really said this, I'd be working midnights and the therapist stopped and goes, well, do you think it was maybe right to leave your children home all night, 12 hours, you're not around? And, my mom made up some story. But then she said, in the wintertime, I would come home, the thermostat would be turned up to 80 and Rodney would be in shorts. And the therapist said, oh, would you rather come home and Rodney had a needle in his arm or a beer in his hand? My mom just stopped. And it was the weirdest stuff. Like I was a good kid. I didn't have my first drink till I was 25. Mm-hmm. And I tried to be the best kid I could. And it was never good enough. Never, ever. And my brother, and then when the therapy was over, the therapist stopped me and she goes, you're the 1%. I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, you're the 1%. Your mother, how she is. Your father is an addict. You went to graduate school, undergraduate school, you went to military. You're not in jail. You're not a drug addict. I said, like, what are you talking about? I never knew that. And she literally said, you are the person who beat the odds. And it never entered my mind. I just thought, well, I just try to be tough. My brother, another story. But, and I took him everywhere and he was like, I protected him all the time. And maybe I didn't do enough. And
Where is he now?
He just turned 50. And he wrote me this beautiful letter in the military, how I raised him and I taught him this and taught him that. But addiction, as your dad will tell you, destroys people. And I miss my brother. That's all I'll say.
I'm so sorry.
I always said, thank God I didn't have a brother because I had a hard enough time avoiding this. I'll tell you what I think happened to me. Though my dad, and I've said a lot of tough things on the podcast about my dad. My dad sounds kind of rough, but the truth is, fundamentally, every single Saturday, every single Sunday, every Saturday we spent the morning together. Every Sunday he would take me to the movie, whether it be alone or he'd always get me a friend. Awesome. Right? And he'd take him, he'd pay for him. He always took me to the Magic Festival every year because he was curious like me about stuff. So we'd go. He taught me how to pick locks. He taught me how to do magic tricks, awesome. And not to steal stuff, but it was just cool. That was part of the magic really tricks. Cool. He taught me how to make the tools.
That's awesome.
He taught me how to weld when I think when I was 10 or 11, I was welding, cutting with a torch, awesome. Doing those things. So he did a lot of things with me in that regard, and he taught me loyalty and hard work and things like that. Now he did drink, which was terrible, and he was terribly violent, except not to me. But if he was drinking and somebody challenged him, and it got to be something, he was extremely violent and capable. So he was a very violent person if he ran into something.
But not to you, son.
Not to me. Yeah. And unfortunately, my mom would go after him and he would hit her, and that was horrible. So what happened was I didn't like that at all. Even though I loved him, I didn't like that. So what he would tell me about the drinking was, and I've said this in the podcast before, he'd say, listen, look at what drinking does to me. I hope you don't do it. He had understood the concept that when I was out of his purview, he couldn't control me. Right. So instead, he appealed to the logic. He said, look what it does to me. Look what's happening. Look what's all these problems, what it has caused. Instead of saying, drink the beer, exactly. He said, just don't do it. Be smart. So I took that, and I think somehow I got in my head that, and I tell teenagers, I have a lot of teenagers, I've even counseled, I've had this conversation with Cassidy, right? I said, listen, you don't have control right now. You kind of got to do what your parents say you do. But here's the thing. Do you really think you're hurting your parents by getting bad grades? No. I said, so when you grow up, and I said, you can either have a great job and work a little less and make lots of money, or you can, work at a gas station hundreds of hours and not make any money. I go, your parents' life is over. They'll be happy to watch your kids and hang out with their grandkids. I said, but you're really not hurting anybody but yourself. So what you need to do is you need to take catalog and say what you like about what your parents did, what you don't like about what your parents did, and you need to come up with your own reality, kind of like we do anyways. But so the thing is, I will never, ever hit any woman. Ever.
I've never, right. Ever in my life, but I threatened us to not.
But I saw it. So, yeah, but I saw it every day. Yeah. I didn't take a drink till I was 36, and I drank a little bit once I realized I wasn't.
Well, you waited like I did.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Same thing. And I will say that I admired my dad's strength, and I definitely wanted to be, strong and capable and things like that. And he was that. He walked in a room and he didn't take any shit, but he was nice. He was actually a very nice guy. So I just kind of picked and chose what I liked. And also when I picked who I was going to marry, I made sure I didn't pick my mother.
But you have to understand, being at your age, that's amazing. Like the fact that you could consciously do that, because my own sons, my older sons, have a lot of issues with their mom, and I think introverts sometimes handle things a little better. Like my middle son is really processes things differently, and I think he's, you get to a point where your mom is this, not what you think she is. She's this. And my older son took longer for that to happen. I think because when I had them full time, they were 5 and 3, and even at 5, like he remembered a lot of stuff. My other son, not so much. And what's weird is like when he goes away to college, he's been with me 90% of his life, so that's going to be weird for me. And so they have to consciously like think about that. The fact that you could do that and then meet this person is kind of a small miracle. And I don't mean like, I mean like that you just saw something in her,
pure luck,
and you just boom, like that's amazing.
Listen, pure luck. I met Lisa. It was lucky that I met her. She had all the qualities and abilities that she filled all the gaps I didn't have. I fully understood that I didn't know how to have a relationship the right way. I understood that. I did understand though that I was loyal and I only wanted to get married once. I always told her this: I'm only getting married once. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's never going to happen twice. I love kids. Never even talked about it, but I knew I was going to have kids. That's the funny thing is I actually knew I was going to have kids and they were going to be great, and never talked. I didn't run around and say I can't wait to have kids. Just when it came time, I was like, absolutely, let's right away.
I never wanted to have kids actually.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't.
Isn't that wild? I mean, the
I was
contrast.
kind of afraid.
Yeah,
about
I get it.
Like what they would be like in like we've had.
Massive. I have massive mother issues.
Do not have strong relationships. I guess I was told I have the double whammy, adopted, and then my mother kind of failed a lot. So it's like I got double whammy. So my problem was for a long time was I liked whiskey and I liked women. And I probably should have done things differently and better. I didn't. And, my first marriage blindsided me, divorce. I tried to do everything right. My second one probably shouldn't have happened. My daughter's incredible. And her mom and I, we have a good relationship. We're on the same page with everything about my daughter. My daughter's awesome. She's doing very well in school and everything in life. And then the last one with my son, I did much better. It took a long time for me because I just didn't, maybe fear. At the same time, I always had to take care of me. Like when you're a kid and your parents aren't around and you go through stuff, that's why I admire you so much. I was all about me. I had to protect me, my brother. Everything was me. And I don't mean I was selfish. I had to be. Because if I wasn't going to make it. I had to be selfish. I mean, I remember I was a starter in football, varsity. I played 9th grade. My dad sometimes was too drunk to take me to practice. My mom wouldn't take me, and I couldn't even, and I was I couldn't play. Like this was stuff that I didn't want my kids to go through. And this stuff profoundly, and I didn't know at the time, affects you. Oh, yeah. When my dad moved into his house, I didn't have a bedroom. I slept on the couch. I didn't have a room. He didn't give me a room. This stuff messes with your mind. And so what I'm saying is what you went through and what you witnessed with your parents, that you have these amazing kids, that you have this great marriage. You are a fucking lucky guy. No, you really are.
I'll tell you what, though.
You really are.
Tell you what, though. You got to give Lisa credit because she could have probably justified divorcing me like a dozen times.
But she didn't because you have the right person.
You know what she says
because she's the right person.
She's probably going to kill me for saying this, but she'll say now, she's like, I when I was younger, I never really understood why people got divorced, like, after being together for 20 years. She's like, I get it now.
Yeah. She told me, she's like, if we weren't already divorced, I would have divorced you.
Yeah.
She just said it all the time. But,
well, thank God she didn't. The way she was raised, like, my mom specifically and her whole family is super family oriented. And I don't know that there was a lot of divorce in, like, the older ages.
And they've had issues, too, but they believed in staying.
Yeah.
Well, everybody has issues.
And at the end of the day, what your dad modeled for you, so if they didn't model a lot, but your dad specifically modeled extreme loyalty. And that was one thing, like, that my mom could never question. And she always tells me is like, you will do anything. You will go to the ends of the earth, even if it means destroying yourself for the people that you actually care about.
100%.
And that is one of the best things that your dad really taught you, and that was modeled for you. Right. It may be not in the best way on a day-to-day, but like you saw it in like more like he would go fight for someone, right?
And I see that, and I see that in you. I do. And that's the thing I say now is I would give my life for my family and my kids in a heartbeat. I may have made mistakes, but I'm not afraid.
Right.
And that's the one thing I learned, because to be your own person and that was some kinds of, Mina would say to me too, like, you've done so much on your own. You've got to learn to let me in, because I was always trying to handle everything myself and not burden people, even though that's what a partnership is to help each other. And I was guilty of that, because that's how I lived for so long.
Well, Melissa and I just had this conversation. You were giving me a hard time about not letting you help with something. And I told her, I said, listen, I love the family. Everybody's great. We all get along. I said, but do you understand how I work? I am completely autonomous inside. Every decision I make is from within. Everything. I don't sit in a room and worry about what people think. I literally just am actually kind of lonely, not from the perspective, but everything I do is still completely inside me to make decisions on what I'm doing.
That's
so,
where we come
and
from.
she's
That's
like, why
we
don't
grew
you?
up.
But I just can't help it. So it's a little bit isolating.
You're also the engineer type, so like your brain just kind of works that way.
Yeah, I'm very isolated in terms of processing, but of course I still engage and have the family. But I have a hard time sitting on the couch and just watching a show. Like I'm not designed that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys were raised in a fight or flight area.
That's
so
exactly right.
So what you were kind of talking about, you're like, I overcompensated by getting more cocky and these things. And I think something that we've talked about is that you feel like you're not good enough. That if you do relax, like there's something you should be doing to further. And it annoys the shit out of us because we just want to sit on a beach with you.
If I don't keep the pedal down,
we just want to relax with you. But like we weren't raised the same way you were. We were raised in consistency. That's really what it was.
And that's what your dad tried to do. And I want to say the one thing my parents did do very well is I was raised where there was no talk about other races, other religions. It was forbidden to speak about other people in certain ways. I was told by my mother that we all came from immigrants. This is what our families were, and we don't judge. And my mother is very Catholic. And I went to Catholic school. I didn't like Catholic school. I wanted to go to Clarkston where all my friends went, but I was an altar boy. I never had a bad experience going to church. But my mother said, don't be a hypocrite. If you're gonna say you believe in something, then treat everyone the same. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't bullshit. Don't lie. Like, everyone is who they are. And so my parents never said slurs, slang. It just didn't happen. And so I was grateful for that. Like, when I was growing up, I was given books to read about social stuff. My mother was very active politically to help out. She put like stoplights. She got up on Dixie Highway. She was always trying to help people in her way. And she said, you have to live it. Now at home, things were different. People didn't know my mom like I do, but I respected her for what she did. At the same time, I was glad, because I was glad I was raised, but sometimes it's tough because I lost friends and people, because I don't think that way. I don't speak like that. I'm not going to be like that. I do not want to hear what you have to say, because I was indoctrinated into that this is how you live your life. And so that's one thing I'm grateful that my parents gave me. And even though they failed at a lot of stuff, like I remember I raised my kids the same. Quick story. I raised my kids the same. They went to private school. Long story about, if you want to talk about what I went to college for, we talk about that. It's a lot about religion. And anyway, so my kids came home and they mentioned a couple slurs. Like, where did you hear that? They didn't know what it was. Like, Dad, what does this mean? And I'm like, who said that? It all comes from parents. Like, kids get stuff from parents. And I'm like, oh, wow, they're saying that in school. They had no idea.
Right.
Because I raised them where they didn't need to know that. They just took people as who they were. And I remember the first, and I don't mean to off track, but like, great example. When they first learned about slavery in America, they thought it was a lie. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, yes, people owned other human beings. Like, but Dad, why would that ever happen? They didn't understand because it doesn't make any logical sense. And they didn't grasp that. I wanted them to be like that. That's how I was raised.
Right.
And so that was important to me. So my parents had a lot of faults and failings, but I was very glad that socially they gave me that. So I want to say, because I want to keep bashing my parents, because awesome. Anyway.
I mean, so no parent does everything perfect.
Right.
He's not a perfect parent. Mom's not a perfect
You're
parent.
not perfect.
You're not a perfect
Thought I
parent.
was.
Nobody is.
I was told I'm the Tom Brady of dads.
Oh, I'm sure you. But what it really is about is like at the end of the day, being able to come back to your kids. Because like my perspective of various things is way different than my dad's. So something that I kind of just noticed across the board is like when you are a kid, the worst thing that could have happened to me is that I trip and fall or I lost my little toy. Like nothing catastrophic was happening to me in a house like I was raised in. Right. But for my dad, maybe at that time when I came to him, like, this is my problem. Or tattletaling on my little cousin. To me, that's my world. To him, he's like, I'm literally trying to make sure we have food on the table. Can you go away? But at the end of the day, like, again, if that's the worst complaint I have, I think you did a pretty good job. However, that's my perspective. So it matters.
Right.
But as parents, like sometimes we forget like the whole world of that little child could be the dumbest thing of your day. But to them, it's their whole world.
Exactly.
So being able to talk to them is when they're adults and really you're not going to fix that, but there's something to be said for being able to go back to that parent and be like, yeah, I didn't like when you did this to me as a kid. Oh, I really never noticed that. And I, as a kid, you as a kid, you guys didn't have the words to be like, this is really fucked up. You didn't even know how fucked up your family was until like you got older and you're like, wait, what? No, you mean you don't pick your mom off the road? Like, are you kidding?
No, this is very true. I think we maybe grew up a little tougher, but you grew up more aware. And I think what you said is perception is 100% of everyone's reality, what they perceive. And so you said that really well because like we kind of probably pick on like, oh my God, you stubbed your toe. Oh, you
poor thing.
Pretty much it.
Like, oh my God.
To school. What did you do?
So, but yet you're, and my kids are too, they're more emotionally mature and aware than I was. And I think that there's good and bad to that. Well, that's
because you guys went through it and you're like, I want to raise more emotionally aware children.
True.
And then you chose people and you
more money and we made them do like.
You were not
my kids can cook their own food, do their own laundry. Oh yeah, of course.
Lay on the ground, get up. You're fine. You know, I mean.
But there's something you said that's really good a second ago. I don't know who it was, but I heard somewhere this guy who was very successful, had all this money, very wealthy. And he was saying, it doesn't matter what you do in your life or how much money you have, possession, successful. The measure of what you did is if your children come back to see you.
100%.
That was huge. I was like, wow. And that really stuck with me when I heard that. That's amazing. And along with that, another hard lesson. You're a coach. You've done all this, and I coach too differently. But something I went to this, my son started camps in basketball. And I went to this talk. This guy was there. He was a national champion coach in college. Really good talk. He said his son was really good at baseball. And he would go watch his games. And one day they were driving home and he was saying this stuff. And his son said, Dad, I lead the team in hitting, have the most home runs. I've never made an error. Is there anything I can do right? And it was like, hit me like a ton of bricks. And he said, and this is why I'm so happy I stuck. He said, I learned to say to my child, I love to watch you play. I'm gonna get emotional. I never. So with my son, my middle son, I always tell him, I'm proud of you. I love you. You've done such a great job because one day it'll be over. One day he won't play basketball anymore. One day it will all be gone. So when I see these people get so obsessed and angry about kids playing and it doesn't matter because one day it won't be here anymore. And one day he won't be playing. But at that moment, I tried to be in the moment and say, man, I'm so proud of you, son. And when I coached, I said, am I that dad? No, Dad, you're not that dad. Really, that made me happy. But I'm telling you.
We just had a podcast about this.
You're a coach.
We literally just talked about this.
Man, I'm glad that talk.
You just sent us the video today. That hasn't even been released yet.
That's going to publish. Wait till you see what we just published.
But that talk, that coach, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I try to remember that ever since. Like, wow,
that's awesome.
Like I have to appreciate. And he's not a hugger. My son's not. He scored. He was playing Brother Rice, I think, and he had like 22 points. And he got out of the locker room and he smiled. He leaned into me, I hugged him, and I was like, "Whoa!" And he was like, "It was just like, man, I'm so proud of you."
Isn't that great?
It is. It's big.
Sometimes that's all that kids need from you, and in their eyes, the worst thing they can do is hit bad, right? And you're just there for them and there to tell them when they did a good job.
And your dad. That's amazing.
That's a tough dynamic, but you got to watch the podcast we just did because she said some really nice things that made me feel really good.
Balin. My oldest son, real quick before we start, he's so much like me. He's so much like me. That's
Bring that one. Bring that one.
My blondie. And
you should bring your kids in. Maybe our kids should do it together.
Oh, shit.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
But he's so much like me, and that's why I think we have we've always, like, he'll say to me the other day, he's like, Dad, why are you getting so crazy that I didn't wipe the table up? Because when I come home and I've said it 27 times and you didn't do it, that's why I get pissed. Then he'll come up and says, Dad, guess what? I'm cleaning the table. Oh, be cleaning the table. Like, you.
My favorite's when they're talking back and they're wanting an explanation. I find it's just because I fucking said so.
Yes.
Like it's my house. It's
Pisses
my
me off
shit.
more,
Yeah,
and
that
make
sends
sure
her-
that there's actually no fucking way I'm gonna do
Yeah,
that.
she didn't talk to me for a
Don't
week.
say it to me.
We were on our way to a podcast after we had one of those. She didn't talk to me very well for a fucking week after we had one of
It
those
was
in the
actually
yard.
our second
Like,
podcast.
we're on the way to the
So,
podcast. The
I
second
literally,
one,
that was the
and
first time
told
I
her,
spoke to him,
I'm
only
like,
because
are
we were doing
even
the
gonna do the
podcast.
podcast?
Dead ass, I'm not
Because she
kidding.
was so pissed. I'm like, is this gonna happen during the podcast?
I can relate to you because my parents did to me, and I
Walking,
made
I'm
sure.
like, fuck you, we'll do
But,
it.
so I made sure that I talked. No, I really did this. I made sure I explained everything, and my kids were cool. Like when I learned, like I explained, I had to learn to tell them stuff ahead of time. We're not doing this because of this. Oh, okay, Dad. And it worked so well.
Fuck
like,
that. I'm not
I know,
doing
but see,
that.
my parents
I'm
did that
not
to me,
doing
and I
that.
did the opposite because I was like, I just
I
don't
refuse.
want to hear it. So I was, well, okay.
I'm
okay,
old.
Dad.
You're young. You should just do it because I'm fucking old and take care of
I
your dad.
will die
just
on
take
that
care
hill.
of your dad.
I will literally die on that hill. No, because my brain doesn't work like that. If I can't understand why the fuck I'm doing something, I'm not going to do it. It's a waste of my time.
all
There's
my kids
actually
were
no way.
like
There's
you,
no way.
and
Her
I
and I
had
are
to
the
learn to
same.
do that.
You understand? Her and I are the most
Oh,
alike.
because she's the oldest.
Peter's
Are you
the most like Lisa, and Megan is a hybrid of the two.
Balin is the most like me. He's
He's
the
an
oldest.
only. That's like the worst thing on the world is an
Yeah.
only child.
Well, not the worst, but yeah.
No, it's pretty bad.
I mean, okay, I
It's
know.
pretty
Sarah,
bad.
I'm sorry. So,
Oh no, he's recording all this. This
Oh,
is all
wow.
part of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all part of
we're
this.
back,
These
baby.
are,
oh, shit.
This is
No,
highlights.
what did I say?
this is highlight shit right here.
But that would be neat, like to get that perspective.
It would be
but the
so
kids,
cool, actually. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say, and I hope my son might watch this. I'm gonna say, you know what, really kind of, and I'm gonna sound so sappy for this. My middle son hasn't said "I love you" back to me in 4 years.
You know, my dad never said I loved you, but I know he did. He never said it.
Yeah,
he
and
never
I
said
hate to say it, but it kind of like hurts my feel. Like, and I didn't. Like I haven't really. I've kind of maybe said this to him. My older son's like, "Love you, Dad," all the time. My daughter, "I love you, Dad." You know, but
If I can give you some solace, sometimes they're just not. They don't. It's
But he doesn't say it to other people
doesn't-
either.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My dad never said it. I finally said it to him before he died, and he did say it, and he said it in so many different ways. But what was interesting, I'll tell that. You just sparked a memory. When we got married, me and Lisa said I loved you because we did that when we were dating. But it was when I had you and held you when you were a baby. It was weird even saying it to you. It was weird, like just saying the words, because I got used to it with Lisa, but I never heard it. Right? My mom was said a million. This is the other thing too is I think my mom devalued it.
yeah, if you say it too much, I get it.
Right.
But holding that
Even
baby,
Lisa would make fun.
Well, actually, no.
Lisa would make fun of her. She's like, she just met me. How does she love me? Because you said that was the first thing you said in the camera. She
Oh,
said, "I
yeah,
love you," and I
that's
can't
true.
say because she tells everybody, "Love you." Like that's what she does.
you know, and that's personality. But when you said holding, I remember I was scared shitless when my oldest son was born. I went home because my wife at the time, she's like, "No, don't. Beds are uncomfortable. Let's go home," because we weren't that far away. Come early in the morning, and I went home. I couldn't sleep. Like the whole universe was on my head. I'm like, "Am I gonna be a good dad? What am I gonna do? Oh my God, I'm responsible for him. Am I gonna be a good father?" It's scared. Now, I turned 35 3 weeks after he was born.
Wow.
And it scared the shit out of me, man. I never been so in love, but I'd never been so frightened. And because I didn't want to be like my parents, I was so scared that I wasn't gonna do well.
I have 2 points on that. You make a good point. The first thing is you know how they said Lincoln never slept. You know, say people that don't sleep.
Yeah.
So I before I was working so hard because once we got married, to me that was my new job. My job was to take care of Lisa, raise a family. So I was really, really hyper focused on being successful, mostly for her, right, and the kids. So I didn't sleep. I could tell you how many times a heater kicked on. I could tell you when cars drove by. I honestly didn't sleep. I would go to bed and I would rest, but I wouldn't sleep. So when she was born, I literally told myself, I am going to go ahead and not work quite as much because I want to make sure I was available for her. Yeah. And so I actually started sleeping at night, not a lot of hours, but I had hit REM sleep for the first time.
Wow.
For the first time in my life.
That's
when you
incredible.
were born. Honest to God.
Wow.
So, and your mom will collaborate all of this.
Well, why was that the only time you slept, or is that when you
Because
started sleeping?
I literally told myself I need to rest and sleep
Keep
and
it
basically spend some more time with you.
But why wouldn't you do that before?
Because my brain was literally on work. Remember, I was working overseas at the time. So I was answering texts at night, doing things. It was the first time I had an overseas team.
I thought you only went overseas once.
No,
oh,
I started
you're saying
back
you
then.
have a team overseas.
I started
so
then.
you were like up in the night.
Yeah, that's when I started.
Okay,
So
that
the
makes
thing
sense.
is I was focused every second that even your mom was working.
Yeah.
So we were in work mode 24 hours. She actually would work late, but she'd sleep in like crazy. She was a night owl. Okay, so what I did is somehow I told myself I'm not going to work 24 hours. And what that meant was towards the end of the night before you went to bed, I kind of unhooked and then I would get up. And a lot of times I get up because I realize I always make this, I don't think it's equal, but I always say that I changed as many diapers as your mom. Pretty close. Like maybe not as many as her, but I literally had no problem changing your diapers. I had you in my arms when I was working. Like I really did spend the time with you guys, and which pisses me off because now you guys act like I've abandoned you. I go, I've spent more time with you than any father on the planet, and you guys act like I don't. But anyways, the thing is I just made up my mind that I wanted to, I guess, be a dad too, not just work. I think that's what happened. So I did get some sleep. Now I'm kind of back in work mode now because you guys are killing it. And
I know, but just because we're killing it doesn't mean I don't like to see you for dinner.
We took a big hit at COVID, so we're still going to get our businesses together. So I'll relax once I get that fixed. That's my mindset.
But I know what you mean by the sleeping, because you want to be available mentally. You wanted to be on it when you were with it. And that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to be involved. And you probably can collaborate with this. When you're raised or come from where we come from, you have to literally consciously not be like our parents, and that's tough. And I so not to digress, but what you said about your mom, why I have issues with my mom, and I'm going to say it. She may never see this podcast, and it's fine.
You're adopted.
No, this is my mom who raised me. My mother is the woman who adopted me. I can't, even though your grandma gave birth to me.
I just want to make sure I'm not mixing them up.
No, it's okay. Yeah. She did some things that were unforgivable. And it sounds terrible to say that. One of them being she ignored my daughter's existence for 2 years, pretended like she didn't exist. And that was the first step of me saying, like, we just are not going to have a relationship anymore. And it was gut-wrenching, and I hated, and maybe you can understand the Shane, I didn't want to be weak. Like, I'm not going to let her get me. I'm not going to let her do this to me because my mother would be so controlling. And I'm like, I'm not going to let this get to me. Because my therapist once told me, she said, Rodney, you were a child. What could you have done wrong? Like, when your parents are raising you, you didn't do anything wrong. You're a child. So when they try to get you to the guilt or the grief, you were a baby. Like, what could you have done? So I'm trying to put that out of my head. And then the one thing that really crushed me was when I first got divorced. I took custody of my sons completely, and I went from like instantly to baths, bed, school, like I was stressed.
Your life is consumed.
And I had really good people behind me to help me. A lot of my buddies were great. And what got me was my mother said to me, "Your children are better off in foster care than with you."
Are you kidding?
And she did, and I was blown away by that. And she said many other things besides that. I think she could be a bully. I mean, I don't know what happened when she was young. My Aunt Carol, my favorite aunt, one of her sisters, is still alive. She was a therapist. She taught at Utah State. And we had a couple long discussions on the phone. And she's like, she didn't know the extent of my mom's issues even now. Because, people don't talk about, and so
especially
my aunt's
when
like,
it's happening.
Yeah. And my aunt's like, Rodney, I'm sorry. She was like, my aunt was awesome. Like, no one ever made me feel adopted. And she's like, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I'm sorry that your mother did this to you. And I said, Carol, it's okay. She's like, well, it's not okay. And she said, I didn't know this. She goes, all I can tell you is your mom may be at the point where you're never going to get this resolved, especially my mom's going to be 80. She's 84 now. Mm-hmm. And it sucks, and I wish that I had a normal mom, like maybe how you do, like my dad always accepted my kids. My dad was awesome with that, like family, boom, like here, Paloma, here, Balin, Callan, Hayden. But my mother wasn't, and I don't know why she never told me.
Well, do you know why she denied your daughter's existence?
I don't know. Maybe she felt I shouldn't have got married again, had another child. Maybe
Which child
she didn't.
Is this? Because you have 4, right?
Yes. So my sons, Balin and Callan, are from my first marriage. Then Paloma is from my second. And she's incredible. My daughter is incredible. Like
Then that's the one she denied.
Yeah. And then she also has never met my last son.
Really?
Yeah. She has never met, Hayden met my father before he died. But my mother refuses to acknowledge my other son. And so we just don't have a relationship anymore.
Were you not hanging out with her before you had this child? Like, is she using that to try and get you to come to her?
My mother doesn't speak to me. My mother was a very independent person. My mother worked, she was a nurse for 50 years. She worked with death and dying. People think my mother's a living saint. But, there's different people at home.
Oh, yeah.
And so she has never given me a reason. And so, not to be sad, but recently my Aunt Barb just passed away. So my Aunt Barb was married to my mother's oldest brother. My Aunt Barb was fantastic. My Aunt Carol, fantastic. And whenever we go to the UP to see my family, we'd stay at my Aunt Barb's because all my cousins were like Bob, Steve, Joe, Annie, Mary. They all lived there. Like they were our age. My Aunt Barb was awesome. And she was always having us there. And I remember after Paloma was born, my Aunt Barb sent me a card. And she said, sometimes the surprise of the last one is the best one. And she was the only one who acknowledged my daughter. And so that meant, like, because of Bobby and I were just talking on the phone.
Yeah.
I got emotional because she just passed away. Talked about the funeral, what happened. I couldn't go there. And I just said, Bob, your mom was amazing. Like, I love your mom. And so that was like, why can't my mom say that? Like, why couldn't my mother say that to me?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And so I get and I feel guilty. Like I'll talk to your grandma and she'll say, I said, I'm not going to talk about Shane. I said, you got to call your son.
You can talk, again, you can
No,
talk whatever you want.
It's not my place. You are her.
I doubt she'll say anything bad.
Like, no, it's not about that. She always praises you, but I'm like, you got to call your son. Shane, I always talk you up because you are a great guy and I really like you. And you have a great family. And she'll like say, well, I wish Shane would come. Then call him, Linda. Call your son. I said, this is not my place. You need to talk to your son and you guys got to work stuff out. That's not my place. I'm glad we talk. I'm glad you asked
questions.
questions.
That she's putting that on you.
Well, she doesn't
like,
mean to, but she'll say like, I really wish I talked to you. Then call your son. That's simple. Call him on the phone. That's all you got to do. But it's okay. I just kind of, so sorry.
No, it's good.
When is the last time that you actually talked to her? You said like 12 years ago?
When I called for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you talked to her since though?
No, I have nothing to talk to her about.
This is actually a question, especially remind me, when did you come to our house? How many years ago was that?
4 to 5 now.
4 to 5. Yeah. Something
Okay.
4 to 5. Yeah.
So when you came to our house, like it kind of like we forget about Linda. Like, yeah, she exists. Sometimes like she'll come up in random conversations. My siblings, so my brother's a year and a half younger than me and my sister's 4.5, like on the dot.
Okay.
For both of them. And they have no recollection of her at all. And I have small recollections, but they're really small. So we moved to our new house, the house you came to when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And my only memories of her was from before that. So that's how long ago that was. And she would come to the house, and I always
19 years ago because Megan's 19 and she was just born.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 23 now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So long time. And she would come to the house and she would, my mom has to describe this because I don't have the recollection to be able to do so. And she would come to the house and she would be like, oh my gosh, I love you so much, Melissa. You're so amazing. I'm going to bring you all these gifts and all these toys. And I actually have things from when she was around that I think are from her. And only in the last couple of years since you've spurred up, to us, she was like gone. Like we check obituaries to see if she died, just to know where she's at. Sometimes I think you'll try and keep a tab on her, but I don't even think
not really
you really know or care to. I think my mom does that more than anyone. And it's maybe once every 5 years. So I guess my mom, basically what happened, she would come to the house, love bomb me, like what you guys are both describing from your own parents. Say she was going to give me all these gifts. And then I hear that my mom and dad would actually put together the packages because she would go disappear and go do drugs with somebody. So I have these little gifts. But I remember specifically, I got this really cool box of all this body glitter. And I was like a young girl and I never had nothing like that. My parents didn't buy me that kind of stuff. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was in the shower oh yeah, look at my sparkly gel. I still have no clue who that came from. And my mom said, I guess she has given me some
The sparkly stuff was probably my mom because it was cheap.
My mom would never buy that. Yeah,
You
so
know
I
what your
have
mom?
to
You know what your
imagine,
mom
but
said? You know what your mom told me? You know why she kicked your grandma? You know what she told me? Because she
I've
didn't
heard
like the
this,
way that she
but
talked to your dad.
yes. Oh
She
yeah.
said I was not going to have her speak to Shane in that manner.
Well, she
And
lived
that
with
says a
us for a
lot.
time.
That
That
says
was
a lot.
before me, right?
Oh,
She
yeah.
did not live with
That
me
was
in the
before you,
house.
yeah.
So before, I guess, and this is a story because she tells me this every once in a while. My mom would like, I guess she needed a place to stay. She was trying to get away from an abusive relationship. And my dad was like, no, she's not allowed to move in. And my mom is a very giving person.
And so she
Help
let her,
anyone.
yeah, of course.
Let her move in. And the one rule that my mom swears like you shouldn't have done, but also like it's totally fair because you wanted kids.
No
who were just
drugs,
getting
no
married.
alcohol.
No
That's the
drugs, no
only- that
alcohol.
was the only
No
rule.
Makes sense to me.
strangers. So it's not like absurd.
Makes sense to me.
But you
If
can't.
kids around, yeah.
Right.
But he didn't at the
I
time.
did at the time, but still.
Makes
You
sense
didn't
to
want
me.
the-
But he did not want that around, obviously. But you can't tell a drug addict no. They're gonna fail. That's like setting them up for failure. So 3 days, I think it was.
She took
maybe
her out,
a
got her
week.
everything new, got her a room
New
set
clothes,
up,
like,
new clothes,
escaping
get
from
everything she could want for. We took care of.
an
We had a lot
abusive
We were making
relationship.
a lot of money at the time. We made sure that she wanted for nothing.
Yeah, addiction is
A
hard.
week.
3 days.
Yeah,
3 days?
It was
you
3
can't.
days.
Unless you
3
want to get
days.
sober. you can't.
Random people in the house doing drugs, drinking alcohol, and then my mom or you guys came in and said, "You guys all get out." And do you remember what she said to you?
I can tell you exactly what happened. Nobody was there yet. They were on their way.
Okay.
And she goes, the guy what she's with now is abusing me. That was abusing me. He's coming to get me. And she was drunk and probably high too, whatever. So I just walked in and I casually said, okay, you know the deal. Don't come back, And then she unleashed. And that's what because
what did she say?
Your mom would go over it, but she berated my father, like randomly brought it up. We didn't talk
Of
about
course, well,
berated my
that's
father, berated
projecting, of
me,
course.
told me how bad he was, how bad I was, how I
course.
so she went on and on and on. I didn't say much at all, but what I did tell your mother, I remember specifically saying. So I just stood there because you know how I handle stuff like that.
Yeah.
We think I just sat there and let her do it, and
Sure.
I calmly handled it. Lisa made sure she got out the door, and then I said, I looked at Lisa and I said, okay. You didn't understand why I was so harsh about not wanting her, so insistent about not wanting her around. So I haven't felt rage like that since I was a child. Because I was a child, I fought a lot because I had a lot of rage. I was
But it pops up. Things trigger it.
I had so much rage that had pulled up in my chest, and I said, I never want to be like that. I'm not that. I said, Lisa makes me calm. Lisa's lifestyle made me none of that. So I said, this is what we don't want around our kids, because last thing you want me is losing my shit. You know that, right? Like we know that, I'm very capable if I lose my shit, and I haven't. I really have never lost my shit, honestly, in front of anybody.
The most that you'll do is
amazing.
We make fun of him because he does these, like, we have a bunch of group chats because we have a lot of people who actually live in our house right now. And we all live together and take care of an elderly grandma. But sometimes he'll come home after a long day of being chronically in pain and super stressed, and he'll do this thing where he like rages in a group chat. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Yesterday, I could literally pull them up. It's hilarious. It makes us laugh.
Well, the thing that I'm saying why he's amazing is I've been angry my whole life.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you could deal with that,
it's Lisa, I'm telling you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're very lucky because the anger, and it's funny. I'm going to say this out loud. So my kids never knew I drank. I haven't had a drink in 9 years now, and I never was a drunk guy, beat kids, nothing bad ever, but they never knew. And so when I would go out with my buddies, and my kids had a lot of good people in their lives, like a nanny named Amber, like Adelie, a babysitter, like really positive female role models. They were just, Amber's married now, 2 kids. They were great, but I would leave, and it was maybe a couple years ago. I said, Dad, you know what we thought you were doing? I said, what? They thought I was a hitter. They thought I was a killer for the mob. And I said, what? They're like, Dad, we really thought you went out into, I said, why would you think that? And they're like, well, we just, they were telling me these stories of why. And I thought, am I a bad father? I mean, like, because I try to be a really good dad to them and loving and caring. And I'm thinking, but I thought, you really thought that? He goes, I don't know, Dad. I said, so if you ever work for the FBI and you get a file on your dad, what are you going to do? Oh, we'll buy you a ticket out of country. But I'm like, but they thought that's,
yeah.
But I was angry a lot. And the fact that this is why, the fact that and you said, Lisa, that's awesome. You're the wife. You got that stability and you didn't project, you controlled anger. I wish, because I never did it to my close friends. But man, I would at the drop at I was afraid sometimes.
Well,
I was afraid that I was going to kill someone a few times.
feel
Like I was afraid.
I feel a tremendous amount of violence
Yes, but
available to me. Honestly, God, I've never said that out loud,
someone.
but I feel extremely violent.
Yes.
But I've never been. Have I ever been?
But that's how you grew up,
Right,
and the fact
right.
that you can do that, because there's been a few moments in my life. I didn't have a weapon in my house for a long time because of the military. I didn't want it because of just being around violence. When I first joined the military, I was like, wow, they're going to pay me to do violence? Because you're young, you think, oh, this is cool.
Right.
But I'm telling you that I came from a lot of the angst, and then adding more violence, it makes you so deeply angry. And I hated that about myself. I hated how angry I was because I wanted to control it. And there was times I literally knew, and I was afraid that if I had a weapon, I could have killed people before. That's how easily.
My dad said that. I always ask my dad, why don't you carry a gun? He goes, if I had a gun, I would probably use it. And he would too. My dad was
awful.
very,
And that's
very aggressive.
awful. It made me inside feel sick to my stomach because, I mean, to protect my family, I would. That's different.
Yeah,
but there's times that people have done things that I'm thinking, like in the military, like that mentality comes back. Like it's like and I've saw stuff you can never unsee.
Right. That's
and then snap of a finger, I'm like, I could sleep like a baby, and that scared me. And I've tried to pull back all I could. So a lot of kudos to you, man.
I didn't have the military either. Peter asked me when we were kids. He goes, Dad, he was asking about guns. He says, would you shoot somebody? I don't know why he said it. He was little. And I said, Pete, my goal is to go through my entire life and never take another life.
That's
But I said, however, if anybody ever harmed you or your siblings or your mother,
different story.
Then I would absolutely do what I had to protect you. That's all I told him. And he was he's like 10, 9, something like maybe younger even.
Yeah.
And I remember having that conversation with Pete.
That's human nature, and I feel like it's kind of part of
You have
what
to
men
protect
are
your family,
supposed
of
to do.
course.
But when you're raised the way you guys were on instability, it can take situations that I'm sure are triggering, and maybe you just don't even realize why it's triggering. Like for my dad, it's kind of nice having you here because you can tell your point of views and your stories, and it can trigger his because he's forgotten a lot of stuff.
Well, but that's natural. You want to forget.
It is.
I remember very little.
You want to push it down.
Yeah.
I mean, like like I don't know what happened to you. Like my mother would hit us with wooden spoons, objects, things like I would never do this. And I remember one time a story that, and this is terrible. I was probably 3. And my mom told this story where I took all the wooden spoons and hid them in my drawer so I wouldn't be hit with them.
Yeah.
And I was 3. I'm like, this isn't funny.
3 years old.
This isn't funny. This isn't a good story because I took the spoons because I was getting hit with objects as a child. Yeah. I mean, like that's not a cool story. And I'm thinking, no wonder I have so much anger sometimes. Like, I can't imagine.
Do you own wooden spoons?
I don't.
I got my ass whipped once a year.
I could have guessed
I'll tell you right now. My dad put up with my shit for the whole year. Then once a year, he corrected it. I got my ass whipped pretty good up and down the house. Now that I look at it, it didn't hurt me. He could have just smacked me up around the house, But, I got tuned up down the house, kind of scared the shit out of me, basically. Once a year, and that was it. And literally went the whole year of him telling me not to do stupid shit all year, And so I really, as violent as it looked and felt, it was no real violence. I was never hurt, And so it's interesting but he was very consistent. You understand? That ass whooping worked all year. I got my ass whooped. I told this in a podcast. I got my ass whooped for grades once.
Yeah.
But why? Because like for me, it made me more angry.
To me, it would be like, basically, I didn't clean my room and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And then I was a smartass about it. And then it just added up to one day where I finally was a smartass while all those things were happening. And I got my ass kicked. And that was it. And then once it was for grades, I told that story. And after I got my ass whooped for the grades, it was at middle school. Never again, I didn't take an elective. I only took credit classes to graduate early.
Wow.
So I swear to God, I graduated early. When I left school, I left everything in my lockers. I didn't even go retrieve my diploma.
You told me that.
I just left. And now I'm like, good, I'm clear of that. And he was sick at the time, so he didn't even know if I graduated or not. He wasn't aware enough to even go to my graduation. So I never took physical possession of my diploma. I never walked down the thing. I didn't care. I left and I was on to my life.
Well, see, and this is, your dad was around till you were probably, 18?
He died just before I turned 18.
Okay. So, like, when my parents divorced, like another story, I'm telling you stories, my mother would get manic angry. And I remember one time she said that she was going to kill herself. And she took off in her car. And my brother was like, Rodney, you've got to chase mom now. I was so angry that she had done this. Got in my car, chasing my mom so my brother wasn't going to flip out. And I remember the rage I had inside that she was doing this. And then she'd come home and park like nothing happened. And I thought, like, there's like, now that you look back, there's deep issues wrong with this. And we would be put in our room sometimes for days. We would get to eat, and that's all we could do. Like the control, the utter fear of like losing everything. Like we were walking a razor every day. And I just said, and then you don't, as a kid, realize how terrible this is because it's not a way to live. You don't know who's going to show up.
Well, you just sparked two terrible thoughts. I don't even want to say it on the podcast. I'll tell you too. I'll take a risk.
I mean,
so my mom nicked her wrist several times and acted like she was bleeding out. She didn't have the guts to do it all the way, thank God, right? And then one time, I watched her walk in the room while my dad was sleeping with a knife. I think I mentioned this to the kids one time. And she walked up and put the knife against his throat. You know what he did? He opened his eyes. He looked at her. He says, "You better not miss." And he closed his eyes. And I'm here as a little kid going, "Oh my God!"
So, but see, that is
holy shit,
beyond traumatic,
but listen,
that's beyond
but
traumatic.
listen,
wow.
that was one of dozens dozens of
yeah.
things that I saw. I've never even told you some of this. That's a
And I'm sorry if I'm triggering.
No,
Shane,
okay.
I'm sorry if I'm triggering.
They're old enough
stuff,
now.
I don't.
They're old enough now. But I've saw so much traumatic things. Again, you talk about mental toughness and not being embarrassed. I always tell them, I've been embarrassed so bad I can never be embarrassed again. I've had such horrible things happen in front of me. I could never, you just can't shock me. You can't embarrass me. You can't intimidate me. And it's not because I'm just some tough guy trying to be tough. I literally have
been through it.
I've exercised it so much as a child that it's galvanized that, how calm have I been when crazy shit's happened in front of me? You're like, how did you not even blink?
See, that's what happens
because
to
I'm
me.
just processing it, waiting to handle whatever's going to happen.
That's what happens to me.
There's no freaking out.
Yes. The heavy stuff, I'm always calm.
Yeah.
The little things irritate me, but the heavy stuff, I'm fine.
Everything blows up in front of you. You're like, okay.
Because we've been trauma, and this is bad as traumatized so much that's why we handle. And then the military made it worse, where I was just like, oh, okay, I joke around people shooting at us. I just think it was funny because I mean, like you have to do this.
But here's the thing. Now, when people need me, right? Honestly, I wouldn't go and do any of it because I am able to do things and teach things and help things. Like if somebody needs something, it's not, oh, poor Shane, he's overloaded. No, I can do it. I'll help. I mean, it doesn't actually bother me to try to solve. Now, I don't appreciate drama, but if somebody truly needs help or something high pressure happens where some people can't handle it, I seem to be, seems like it works out okay. And not in a dramatic way. We can tend to solve problems without the shock of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The same thing with your kids. Your kids can be like you're probably like me. My kids tell me everything. Things I don't.
Yeah.
Things I don't even want to hear sometimes. Like my son's going, hey, Dad, you see all the ladies I had up at school. I'm like, don't. Why are you telling me this? Like, it's funny because he's like, Baylor's a handsome guy and he's charismatic. He's like, and then he says like, all these different ladies really like me. And my friend said, how do you pull girls like that? He goes, I just treat them like people.
I'm pretty sure I embarrassed you, or maybe we're just trying to do it to Peter. But like sometimes, like we go out, to tournaments where a lot of people know us and they understand our personalities.
I just shake my head.
How we get along and stuff, and we'll just say the most absurd things. Like it's actually it's really fun. I'm not embarrassed easily either. I also think I do really well in chaos.
Oh
because,
the kids are very tough. We
were kind of raised that way too, and like I've watched my parents go through different seasons of life having to take care of relatives where like nobody else was able to actually handle the stuff. And it's not just him, like my mom has done it too. It's like, and the kind of things that we've helped other family members get through because of like my mom and her even peace. Like she's the aunt everyone goes to. She's the aunt that
I get it. Yeah,
that, like,
I can
she's
tell.
She's a central person.
I can tell.
So calm.
She's the matriarch.
Right. And if she needs something, she calls on us.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So like your family, you're kind of dealing with this stuff, but like actually
they're helping out
it's
tremendously
funny. So
with
like
my aunt.
right now we're going through one of these seasons where we're dealing with something, and that's separate from like my grandma who's just Alzheimer's. Not really drama, there's no drama with it, but she's just sick and ill, and me and my mom and my sister have been taking care of her along with one of my cousins for 7 years now, 6-7 years.
It's been already that many
years.
2019. It's been a long time. So like now he's taking care of something on his family side, and actually in the eyes of your cousin who is causing the problems, he's the only problem. But what she doesn't know is that like your whole family, hopefully she doesn't see this, but whatever, your whole family is literally behind you watching and supporting. We're just not there in person.
Because you're doing the right thing.
Well, it's off the radar.
We're calling,
The thing
checking in,
I'm
doing
getting these
stuff,
messages saying there's something wrong, and I'm like, this lady's tough as nails. There's no way. Then I get there, in this strong woman is being beat down mentally and potentially physically, and so I'm like, oh my goodness. So I get involved, and all I'm doing is my presence. But she's used to having access to her and beating her down, and now that I'm there, she's getting frustrated because she's
Well,
crazy.
yeah, because God forbid you're doing the right thing.
Right. So you wouldn't believe, again, this is not the podcast for it.
Right.
But again, she wouldn't tell anybody else. She wouldn't listen to anybody.
Right.
And so when I showed up, somehow she had a good relationship with my father, so she perceives me as an extension of my father. That her brother was my dad. So suddenly I'm a trusted person helping my aunt, and now she's completely resigned to allowing me to help her, and she's getting bold again and confident again, and everything. She's back to normal. And all my goal was, I'm like, you do whatever you want, but don't do it from a position of being bullied by this person. Be yourself.
Okay, so let me ask a question.
You know,
this has triggered something. Let me ask. Okay. I went to school and I studied every religion in the world, and I had some brilliant professors, and languages, texts, etc. Does religion drive you? Because
can we actually pause right there?
Yes.
Because can we take that into the next podcast, and then we can actually can you come back? I would love to. And the reason being, because what he's talking about, what you're about to bring up, is a really big
huge topic
and what we're dealing with.
Okay,
feel free to ask the question, and then let's literally
let's
put
summarize
a pin in
this.
it.
Let's answer this one, but we can go bigger with it.
And then
go ahead.
We'll go from there.
Say your question, and then let's go
I want to know about, because see, now in my family, this is my failure as a father. My oldest son is an atheist, and my middle son is agnostic. My daughter's still hanging in there. But
what are you?
I believe in nothing.
And what is she hanging on to?
My daughter.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
I definitely want to take this into another podcast because I think it's really interesting, and I don't think I'm the most educated about stuff, but I don't always think that's what it necessarily comes down to.
You could have a kids podcast. Your kids and
oh wow.
Well, that would be fun. Anyways, join us next week. Well, I don't know if you can come next week, but
soon.
But we will put another podcast out, and we have one coming that we still have to post. So thanks for joining us today on The Melly Show.
I'm honored. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you.